Hundreds of people in Mexico, including the military, public servants, and volunteer miners, participate in the rescue operations of 10 miners in Agujira, Coahuila State, amid the mine's rising water level. The government of Panama unilaterally ended what it considered to be the first phase of the single dialogue table, amid the discontent of the country's social, political, and union organizations. In China, a U.S. congressional delegation landed on the island of Taiwan in the middle of increasing tensions with Beijing. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. In Mexico, hundreds of people, including the military, public servants, and volunteer miners, participate in the rescue operations of 10 miners in Agujira in Coahuila State amid the mine's rising water level. According to authorities, the flooded mine, where 10 workers have been trapped for 11 days in northern Mexico, registered an abrupt increase in water levels, which could complicate the rescue efforts. The news comes as a blow to the miners' families, who on Saturday reported feeling desperate at the slow progress of the rescue. The Agujira incident occurred when the wall of an adjacent abandoned mine collapsed, causing flooding on the tunnel where 15 miners were working. Of those, 5 escaped and 10 are still trapped. In Mexico, security forces arrested 164 members of an armed group in the southwestern state of Michoacán. The arrests took place on Saturday night as part of a joint operation by Mexican security forces, the Civil Guard, the National Defense Secretariat, and the National Guard under the command of the Public Security Secretary General José Alfredo Ortega Reyes. During the interinstitutional operation, 142 rifles, 44 small arms, and 28 vehicles were seized, one of which was armored. According to local media, the people arrested are reportedly members of the group known as Pueblos Unidos, who were traveling in a convoy on the highway to Uruapan, allegedly to take over this municipality. Panama's government unilaterally closed what it considered to be the first phase of the single dialogue with the country's social, political, and union organizations. The withdrawal comes at a time when they had reached an impasse, given that the social organizations question the fact that the Catholic Church is not allowed to convene and facilitate the dialogue for the Social Security Fund. In this regard, church observers emphasize that they are only acting as mediators in the process, stating that it is necessary to discuss the issues so far addressed with other sectors of the country. Social movements described the announcement as unacceptable, pointed out that they were not notified about the hiatus in the dialogues, and announcing that the 8 points of the agenda agreed upon with the government had not been covered. And from the Pueblo Unido Alliance, the Secretary General of the Construction Union expressed his surprise at the closing of the Social Security table and called on the representatives of the church to reflect on the matter.
We have been really surprised in an untimely way by the spokesman of the facilitation, in this case Professor Blanco, on behalf of the Church, to have announced the untimely closing of the first phase without consultation. For those of us who are here, is unacceptable. I have asked for the Monsignor to come, because when we talked to him before arriving here, he told us that he was going to assume, and that was our vote of confidence.
In Ecuador, at least 5 people lost their lives and several were injured after an explosion in the Cristo del Consuelo neighborhood in the city of Guayaquil. According to authorities, the explosion of the great magnitude occurred in the early morning hours of this Sunday. The explosion also destroyed homes, affected several cars, and caused damage to electrical lighting in the sector. Witnesses said the shots were heard first, and then there was the explosion. Personnel rescue are still in the sector, assessing the damage and helping the injured. The authorities haven't yet confirmed the origin of the explosion.
We had 3 people dead at the site, 2 people who died at the Guayaquil hospital, and 20 wounded that we have located in different health centers. We are gathering all the necessary information to find those responsible and the motive of this criminal act.
The governments of Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador and Mexico expressed in a joint statement their support for the president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, who is currently undergoing his 6th judicial investigation. Through the written document, the 4 countries declared themselves in favor of democracy in Peru and call on all institutions and political forces to strengthen the political dialogue in that nation. They also reiterated their solidarity with the legitimately constituted authorities and their confidence that all national actors will favor the construction of a broad, inclusive and participatory consensus that will strengthen the functioning of the political system established by the Constitution and the rule of law. Castillo, for its part, expressed his gratitude to these countries for their support in the face of the actions of anti-democratic sectors. And Cuba expressed its gratitude on Sunday and decorated collaborators from Mexico and Venezuela who participated in the battle against the large-scale fire that affected the industrial zone in the western city of Matanzas. In an emotional ceremony, the Order of Solidarity was awarded to 5 experts from those nations who worked on the front line on the fight to control and put out the fire at the supertanker base. The Mexican and Venezuelan collaborators received a replica of the machete of Major General Antonio Maceo Grajales from the hands of the Army Corps General Álvaro López Miera, the Minister of the Revolutionary Armed Forces. They were also awarded the Friendship Medal granted by the Council of State of the Republic of Cuba at the proposal of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples. With a minute of silence, the participants in the meeting paid tribute to those who died in the disaster, considered the greatest technological disaster of natural origin that Cuba has had to face. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. A United States congressional delegation landed on Taiwan province amid rising tensions with Beijing. The group of lawmakers, led by Democrat Senator Ed Markey, arrived in Taipei, while the de facto Washington embassy in the city expects the lawmakers to hold meetings with the senior Taiwanese leaders, where they will discuss national security, trade and investment relations between the province and the nation. This delegation arrives amid rising tensions with China, 12 days after U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the province of Taiwan. In the United States, 2 people died and 17 others were injured after a car crashed into a crowd in the state of Pennsylvania. Local authorities reported that the incident took place in the town of Berwick on Saturday afternoon when several dozen residents were attending a benefit event. The police department reported that the suspect in the attack was arrested, and it was learned that he is wanted for the murder of a woman. Authorities said the motivations of the suspect have not been clarified. And also, an unidentified man in the United States shot himself dead after crashing his car into a vehicle barricade near the Capitol. According to local authorities, a man crashed his car into the barricade at the East Capitol Street and 2nd Street. As he got out of the car, the vehicle became engulfed in flames and the man fired several shots into the air, alerting officers to the scene. The man then shot himself. Nobody else was hurt. The incident comes at a time when law enforcement and FBI agents across the country have received threats following the raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago property in Florida. Syria denounces that almost 90 U.S. tanker trucks with crude oil stolen from the wells of TeleSUR left from the Al-Mahmoudiya border crossing heading to Iraq. According to the Syrian state agency ZANA, those of this Friday are added to those of Thursday, when a convoy consisting of 144 tanker trucks loaded with stolen crude oil left Syrian territory. Syrian authorities estimate that the United States and militiamen supported by Washington loot around 66,000 barrels of Syrian oil daily, which is equivalent to 80% of the total production of the Arab country. At least 3 soldiers were killed and 3 others were wounded in Syria after a simultaneous double strike by the Israeli occupation forces. A military source reported that around 8:50 p.m. local time on Sunday, Tel Aviv forces carried out an air attack with rockets far from the airspace of southeast Beirut against some points of the province of Damascus camp. This aggression coincided with another one launched from the sea against some points of the south of the coastal province of Tartu. The incident triggered the reaction of the Syrian Arabs' air defenses, which managed to shoot down some of the Israeli missiles. In Armenia, at least 1 dead and about 51 injured are reported after a strong explosion in the Zurmali market in the center of the capital city of Yerevan. According to local authorities, the explosion took place in fireworks warehouse in the Zurmali center, specialized in wholesale, located in short distance from the center of Yerevan. A part of the building collapsed under the impact of the explosion and several pavilions were destroyed. Rescue teams are on the scene working to pull out the people trapped in the rubble. Several high-ranking officials, including parliamentary leader Alain Simonian, have gone to the scene to assess the situation. And the Pope Francis on Sunday called for international help for Somalia to fight a deadly drought that the UN says has displaced 1 million people. The 85-year-old pontiff drew attention to what he called a serious humanitarian crisis in Somalia after his weekly Angelus prayer. The people of the region, already living in very precarious conditions, are now in a deadly period due to a drought. I hope that international solidarity can respond to this emergency, the Pope said, adding that unfortunately, what diverts attention and resources, but these are the goals that demand the most commitment, the fight against hunger, health, education. Somalia is gripped by the worst drought in more than 40 years. According to the UN refugee agency UNCHR, more than 755,000 people have fled their homes, but remain within Somalia's borders. This, added to those who have fled abroad, brings the total to 1 million.
I wish to draw attention to the serious humanitarian crisis affecting Somalia and parts of neighboring countries. The populations of this region, who are already living in a very precarious conditions, are now in a deadly period due to drought.
Kenyans prayed for peace as they waited anxiously for the final outcome of a tight presidential race, with the 2 frontrunners neck and neck, according to partial official results. As of Sunday morning, Deputy President William Ruto had scored 51.25% of the vote, reversing early gains from his main rival Raila Odinga, who had 48.09%. Tuesday's vote passed off largely peacefully, but after previous elections sparked deadly violence, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC, is under intense pressure to release results by 16 of August. Riot police were deployed overnight inside the Commission's heavily guarded tallying center in the Kenyan capital Nairobi after political party agents disrupted the process. The wait has left Kenyans weary, with many hoping that any disputes over the result are addressed peacefully through the legal means. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. In the United Kingdom, the Meteorological Service declared an orange alert due to the persistence of the heat wave with temperatures of up to 34 degrees Celsius. The Meteorological Service of the United Kingdom issued the alert due to the extreme heat wave that affects mainly the south of the country and that will affect it for at least the next 4 days. Authorities also warned that the heat wave could affect public and private transport because the high temperatures could burst the tires of the vehicles. The alert forces the country's water companies to draw up contingency plans to face the shortage and also prohibits the watering, washing cars, and filling private swimming pools. In addition to England, other European countries such as Spain, Italy, Portugal, Germany, and Greece are suffering from the influence of the heat wave that has generated fires in the region. In Spain, a forest fire has been burning thousands of hectares since Saturday in the Aragon region of northeastern Spain, forcing the evacuation of at least 1,500 people. Authorities reported that the fire originated in the municipality of Añón de Moncayo and is still active in the perimeter of 50 kilometers, after also estimated to have burned between 8,000 and 10,000 hectares of land. During a statement to the press, the president of the region, Javier Lambán, pointed out that the strong winds, together with other factors, have forced the rapid spread of the flames. He also stressed that at least 1,500 people were evacuated from the surrounding areas, while 300 firemen and several area units were deployed to control the fire. In China, at least 7 people were killed and 3 others injured as a result of flash floods in that hit the Sichuan province in the country's southwest. Local authorities reported that this Sunday 3 people died, while yesterday there were 4 deaths and the injured are still in stable condition. The victims are tourists who were swept away by the floodwaters while touring the Lone Cow Valley in the city of Pengzu. Videos shared on social media show that floodwaters suddenly raised the volume of a canal and trapped many people. Press reports said that search and rescue efforts are still continuing at the site. And the fire ripped through a church in a densely populated neighborhood of the Egyptian capital of Cairo on Sunday as congregants worshipped, killing at least 41 and injuring 55, the Coptic church said. The blaze broke out while service was underway at the Abu Zefain church in the working-class neighborhood of Imaba. An initial investigation pointed to electrical short circuit, according to a police statement. The Egyptian Ministry of Health said 55 people were injured and receiving treatment in local hospitals. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi mobilized all the state services to ensure that all the required measures are implemented. In the meantime, it was confirmed that the government will allocate around $5,200 in compensation to the families of the victims of the fire and $1,000 to those injured.
Downstairs, there is a daycare, and on the upper floor, there is also a daycare. And thanks to this guy, God bless his soul, was able to take the young out. He was a church worker. He didn't know there was anything upstairs. But when the noises and the yelling started and people arrived, we went inside, went upstairs, and found people dead. We started to see from outside that the smoke was getting bigger, and people wanted to jump from the upper floor, from the building of the church to the next. And one did. Then we went inside, and we found the children, and we started to take the bodies out.
TeleSUR English continues to grow. Its signal now reaches Europe. You can order it from your cable dealer or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on the screen are in place since July 1st. Quite soon, further changes will be implemented for the signals in the Middle East and Africa. Now, more than ever, the world connects to us, and our stories are heard in other farther away nations. This news multi-platform will continue providing truthful content to oppose the hegemonic media's narrative and our faithfulness to our audience. So we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.